welcome to today's episode of the Greene County Podcast. On the program today, we have Deborah from Options. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
As long as I can remember, I have been opposed to abortion. I can talk for hours about why, and maybe will later. When the idea of this podcast, just the program in general, began to materialize, a giant question came over me because I knew that the subject of abortion would come up. I can give all kinds of spiritual, legal, moral, philosophical reasons to oppose abortion. But what can I point to as a solution, if you will, or a help for the young lady who finds herself in a tough spot because of a pregnancy? That's when I did some research and came across the Options organization. So that's part of the reason we're having you on, is that you're part of that solution. So if you would, tell us about it.
Okay, yep. I am the executive director at Options, and we have a center here in Paragould. We have a center in West Memphis and in Jonesboro. And we also have a mobile ministry. And our goal is to affirm love, advance hope, and advocate for life everywhere we go and for every person that comes through our doors. And we do that by, one, just meeting her where she's at. You know, the world is tough. Life is tough. And society so quickly tells us to idolize self-convenience, self-preservation. And that's where abortion falls in at, like, just get rid of it.
Take the easy way out.
Yes, exactly. So we want to meet her where she's at and show her through the love of Christ that she is not alone and that we will walk with her. So then she doesn't feel like she has to sacrifice another life to preserve her own. You know, we want to make sure that she knows that she's seen, she's heard, and that she will be taken care of. And, we want her to know that she's loved first, because once she realizes she's loved, then she can love another person. Right. A lot of these women, they don't love themselves yet, so they struggle to love another person.
And that's kind of a hard thing in a way for people to hear, that you don't love yourself. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of where we start out as humans. Mm-hmm. And without getting too far into gospel presentation, that's without God, that's hard. Mm-hmm. In fact, in some ways, it's impossible. I've talked to you a little bit before. We've worked together a little bit, and I've talked to you tonight as we're beginning for this. And I just want to tell any young lady out there that you and I think you represent your organization very honestly and truthfully. Or in other words, I think you're a good representation of your organization, and you are very soft-spoken, very tender-hearted. You asked us to pray before, and you prayed before we did this podcast, and the humility and dedication that I've seen in you is very rare, and I cannot imagine someone having an experience with you that was not uplifting to them. And so please, please don't think that Deborah or Options in general is in any way going to coerce or force or talk down to you. And you've not said this, but I will say this from a Christian standpoint. A true Christian has got to come to the point that they understand we're all broken. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I learned in a very tough situation in the Christian life is I realized that there is nothing that anyone else out there can do that I'm not capable of doing. And that's something that we as Christians often have a problem acknowledging and projecting this, but as a Christian, you have to understand that we are no better than anyone else. Mm-hmm. And the only difference between us and a non-Christian is we've been saved by grace.
That's
And
correct.
you know, we're all guilty before God. And that would be, and we'll probably touch on this several times through this. Uh, if I were to encounter a lady who had had an abortion, there's no condemnation there.
Right.
Um, for me, that's between her and God. And if my hand was forced, I would say yes, abortion is wrong. But I would hasten to add after that, and God is standing there with grace and forgiveness for you, and He wants a relationship with you. And I go through all of that in this particular instance to say that there's going to be no condemnation. There's going to be nothing for you except love and help here in this.
That is correct. And actually, in all of our centers, there is somebody there that is post-abortive working. You know, we bring on post-abortive healed, redeemed, post-abortive women
Right.
because they can sit there with you and really be with you and talk you through this. And they're there because they have found the redemption of Christ and they understand the wrong in it and they understand the hope on the other side.
Right.
And they want to sit with you and their heart is to prevent any other woman to going through what they went through. So we do have staff members and volunteers who are post-abortive, and it happened, 20, 30 years ago in their past, and since then they have found the Lord. And now, just like in Genesis 50:20, where it says, what the enemy meant to harm you, I meant for your good, for the saving of many lives. And now they are walking in their testimony. They overcome by the word of their testimony and the blood of the Lamb. And they've already received the blood of the Lamb, right, through salvation. And now they're using their testimony of what God has healed them from to help other women. So there is definitely no judgment when they come in to our office. There's only hope and resources, and let's sit down and talk about what you're going through and what is making you feel like you can't do this.
Right.
And then if we can show you solutions to those obstacles, they choose life every time. And sometimes it's just a matter of understanding that it's not a blob of cells like society wants to tell them. So many times they just say, oh, it's just a blob of cells. You just take these pills or you just go in this center, and it's just like having a cycle and it's over. But in reality, it's a life.
Absolutely.
As soon as it's over, you feel different, you come out different, and we just want to help women understand what it really means to go down that road and what joy it can mean to choose life, even in a difficult situation.
I think as a non-uterine person in today's lingo, I look at this, and I think a lot of people that have not been touched by this look at it as there is a victim, the child.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying, and it's obvious, and I knew this and know this, but you really brought it home. There's two victims.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime there's an abortion, there's two victims, and y'all are trying to prevent
Yes.
both.
Yes.
And
Yes. When you have a world that tells you something is okay, that is harmful, it doesn't change the fact that it's still
It's still
harmful,
harmful,
just because
yeah.
they say it's okay. But that's why we have to stand on the Word of God. And I know you're a studier of the Word, and I can show you from Genesis to Revelations how God is life,
Absolutely.
and life is important, and this matters to Him.
Absolutely.
And He showed me very clearly in the Word of even life in the womb, because once they'll tell you, well, it's just a glob of cells, and then they tell you, well, life doesn't start until after birth. Well, no, that is not the case. I mean, Jesus, when He was in the womb of Mary and walked up to Elizabeth, she was baptized in the Holy Spirit and John the Baptist while He was in the womb.
Mm-hmm.
Like, His ministry started when He was in the womb.
Right.
So that shows you life. When Rachel was pregnant with the twins, and they were wrestling inside of her. She asked the angel of the Lord,
You have
why
two
is this?
nations.
He says, you have two nations within inside of you. Exactly. So life starts in the womb. It starts at
absolutely.
conception. And a lot of women, they just don't know that. They believe what they've been told. And that is what we try to help them understand, that this is a gift from the Lord. And even through hard times, and no matter how this child was conceived, it can still become a blessing. And they still have a purpose. They're still being created by the Creator. He knitted us together in our mother's womb, regardless of how it was conceived.
Right. We are fearfully and wonderfully
Absolutely.
made. That reminds me of something that Penn, I never can remember Penn's last name, but the Penn of Penn and Teller is an atheist. And he tells a story about being okay with Christians witnessing to him. And he has a really good take on it that I want to share and kind of twist a little bit or make to meet this. He says, if you truly believe that there is a life after this and that God wants you to spend it with him, how much do you have to hate someone to not tell them the truth? And that kind of I want our viewers to think about, if you believe the way we believe, and we believe what the Bible teaches, that life begins at conception, and that is a life. How much would we have to hate that young lady to not do everything within our power to show her that love and to help her to understand that and help her to choose a better option?
Yes.
And so,
Yeah, that's so true. Like, if we really believe what we believe, why would we not tell them?
exactly.
But and in the same aspect, why would we not love a post-abortive woman too?
Oh, absolutely.
We have to love her too. We actually have a 8-week program that a post-abortive woman can come to us, and we go through this 8-week course to help them find that wholeness again after such a trauma in her life.
Okay, so I want to break that out for y'all a little bit. I did not know that, but I want y'all to think about what Deborah just said. Obviously, Options is set up with the hope that you can give young ladies options to abortion so that they choose not to abort children. But more than that, you love them enough that if they do, you're still there for them.
Absolutely.
And if that's not going the extra mile and all the way, and if that doesn't show your heart, I don't know what does. And in today's world, you kind of mentioned that. I'm 60 years old, and I can't remember for sure, but I believe Roe versus Wade is basically my age. And so this has been a struggle for decades. And pretty well anybody that is in any way possibly in play here, this has been going on, and this struggle has been going on far before you were born. And
Roe v. Wade actually came in effect the year I was born.
Okay.
1971.
Okay, so it did. Okay, I thought it was actually older than that.
Well, the battle was.
Oh, absolutely,
yeah.
because that didn't happen overnight.
Right.
I'm sure. But just realize that for 20, 30, 40 years before you were born, culture was fighting and struggling for this ability to have an abortion. And they were doing everything in their power to paint it in the nicest way and say the best things about it, and say how good it was from every perspective that they could make up. And so they are skilled at this, and they have researched and planned and have been working on how they can deceive young ladies.
Well, the enemy's plan has not changed. He's been attacking the family since the Garden of Eden.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you think about it, in Genesis, it talks about you do not sacrifice your babies to Moloch.
Moloch, yeah.
You know, you don't sacrifice them to the fire of Moloch. And what did they do that for? For prosperity and convenience. What does that sound like to you this day? Modern
Same
thing
reason.
for prosperity and convenience. We do not sacrifice our babies.
Yes.
You know, the Bible is very clear about that. And also, you know, you think about when Moses was coming on the scene, what did they do? They killed all the baby boys. When Jesus was coming to earth, what did they do? They killed all the baby boys. So this isn't just in our modern years. Like,
No,
this
there's
is
nothing
ancient.
new under the sun.
There is nothing new, and the enemy's scheme is still the same: to destroy the family and to take out God's creation. And we are created in his image, so that's why he is after us. You don't see him trying to kill off like the mountains or the goats or whatever, but you see him trying to kill us off.
That's right.
Because we are created in his image, and we're the only
thing that was created in his
Yes.
image.
Yes.
Yes.
So yeah, that is an old time thing, like, and it's been going on from the very beginning.
So I would urge you to realize that this is a very planned and evil, but a very planned thing that they have been teaching this and getting to younger and younger children. I saw a thing the other day which the initial episode, or not episode, the initial edition of the Miss magazine actually, and that was in the 70s.
That was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. Actually, one of the articles in that was why you want an abortion. And in fact, I'd have to go back and I should have done this, but I didn't think about it. If you go back and find the original cover to that, it is the Indian god with all of the hands, and that again harkens to an abortion theme. And so they've been silently and secretly and covertly sneaking this message in and literally programming mind washing our children in order to be able to accomplish this. And
So we just want to come with truth
absolutely.
and love and let them know that they matter and their baby matters,
Right.
and that they don't have to walk it alone. If they're in a difficult spot, how can we help you get into a better situation? Because, you know, I always also share with them that you're looking at the immediate situation you're in and you want the quickest solution. But how do you see your life 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, 20 years from now? You know, when you cut off when you have an abortion, you're cutting off that next generation. So when you see us at our age, you said you're 60, I'm 55. So when you see us sitting around our tables in the evening, who is sitting around our tables? It's our grown children and our grandchildren. But when you have abortions, you're cutting those off. So I always encourage people, like I have pictures of my children and my grandchildren in my office, because I'm like, I want people to see this is who's sitting around the table with me now.
What's important in life?
Yes, it's, you know, an abortion is a very permanent, long-term solution to a short-term problem. And so we work hard at trying to help these ladies see past today and get them into their tomorrows and their next years and into their future, because their children can help build their futures. Their children can, you know, are blessings from the Lord that he's bringing to help you through. If you're lonely, if you're struggling because you feel alone, there they are.
Right. You know, I was going through a hard time at one point, in several points in my life, but one point in particular, and I had an older gentleman than me who's passed away now, but he looked at me and said, you know, Bob, in life, hardships have a very short window. And I would encourage young ladies to realize you're exactly that. You're a young lady, and I'm 60 years old, and what? And I'm in my prime, y'all.
Me too. Me too. 55.
But I do. I mean, honestly, I have a lot to look forward. I have a lot I am looking forward to, including some grandchildren.
Yes.
But at what age group is most served by options?
That's a really tough question because I'll tell you, our youngest has been 11 and our oldest has been in their 40s. So we have them all the way across the age group. I remember just our last gala last October, I shared those statistics of how many was in each age group. And there was about the same in every age group.
Really?
You know, lesser in the younger,
Sure.
thankfully.
Sure.
But once you hit, 17 to 30s, that's where they're at. It's the childbearing years.
Yeah.
So, and you have the younger ones, they think they can't do this because of school, or they're still with their parents or whatever. The older ones, they're like, I've already raised my children, I don't want any more. So they have reasons
Right.
all the way across the board, all the way across the age group, but it's across the entire age-bearing years.
Well, so my point's just going to really be applicable to those, say, 20 or so.
Mm-hmm.
If you're 20 years old, you're just getting started.
Yes.
And to think, well, the next 3 years or whatever, I'm going to be changing diapers or whatever. I sit here again as a non-uterine individual, and I maybe don't have a lot to say about this, but I would encourage you to think those may be some really good 3 years. And what, you're going to be 23 when you get done?
Yeah.
I mean, what's that going to keep you from doing?
Yeah, to that point, my daughter, she is my best friend in the world. She's 32 now. She's 32. And I had her when I was 22. I was single in a very bad time of my life, in a very dark time of my life when I found out I was pregnant with her. And, abortion was a thing. But I chose life for her. And it was not easy at the beginning. But then I found Christ when she was 2 years old. And it was actually through almost losing her that I found Christ. And I promised him that I would raise her up in his house all the days of her life. So when she was 2 years old, I just started taking her to church. Not because I was saved or knew any better, but I took her to church because that's what I promised God, because I was able to hold on to her. And through me taking her to church, I went to church. I learned about the Lord. I accepted Christ in my life. I got baptized, and we grew up together. And she, and to this day, is still my very best friend. And she is married now with 2 beautiful babies that are the love of my life. And so there's happy endings. And
Right.
you don't know what the Lord is giving you in this gift of life. Like my first couple years through pregnancy and even with my child was rough. But God turned it around. And he used my daughter to bring me into church, to bring wholeness to my life. And so many times, abortion is throwing our gifts away. The very thing that the Lord is trying to give you in his great love and in the depth of his love. He is saying, I know life is rough. I know things are hard. But I'm going to send someone to you that will bless you beyond your wildest dreams. I have 2 sons and a daughter now, and I have 18 grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
Like, when I was 22 years old, you could not tell me that. But I am so blessed.
So you have average of 6 each?
Well, my firstborn son has decided to bless us with 10.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and my other son has 5, and then my daughter has 2, and then my husband's son, he has 1.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Okay.
So my son is very fruitful. You know, the Lord says, "Be fruitful,
Be fruitful and multiply. Yep.
And I love every single one of them.
And you know, some people in this world, unfortunately, think we have too many people, and that's actually not the case. And
It's not the case.
especially in America, our culture is slowly dying because, you know, we have two people get married or not, and they have 1.5 children, and so we dwindle away. And so be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah. That was our first commandment.
That was our first commandment, yeah. This is a little bit off the subject, but you touched on this about church. If I would encourage any young ladies that find themselves, especially in this situation, but just period, if you grew up in church and you're going to church, and that church is not loving you, find another church.
We see that a lot, actually, and that is one of the saddest things I think that we see is when a woman will come to me and she says, "I'm a believer. I made a mistake, but I can't do this in my church. They will ostracize me. They will," and I'm like, "You're in the wrong church then," because the church is for sinners. It's for healing. It's for redemption. And we're supposed to come alongside these young ladies and help them.
Absolutely.
And that's where we get the Embrace Grace program that we have. That's a program that's actually supported inside the church. So they get discipled and they get, brought in, with other moms, and they have a support group. But that's supported through the church. And the church needs to, I don't want to be too vulgar here, but sleeping with someone out of wedlock is a sin. Lying is a sin.
That's right.
But there are liars in church and they don't do anything about it.
Being hypocritical is one of those too.
Exactly. We all sin and fall short of the glory of God. And I think about a woman who was caught in adultery that was put at the feet of Jesus. And he says, "Throw the first stone." He was like, daring anybody, throw the first stone. And nobody could. So he was like, "Nobody condemns you, nor do I. Go in peace and sin no more."
Right.
Well, I think about her 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road. When she sees that next woman being caught in adultery, what do you think she's going to do to her? Do you think she's going to ostracize her? Do you think she's going to judge her? Do you think she's going to push her out of the church? No, she should be saying, "Hey, let me tell you about Jesus. Come with me, because I remember a time when Jesus said, 'I don't condemn you. Now go sin no more.'" That's the kind of love we need to be offering every person.
And the analogy to that, that every person in that church should acknowledge is, yes, you messed up or you sinned, but God has grace for you, just like He had for me when He saved me, because I had sinned, and if they're honest, and I have continued to sin, and God has continued to have grace for me. So if you're in a church that is not supporting you, or not loving you, or not helping you, get a hold of Miss Deborah. She'll help you find a church that
Yes, I will. Because it doesn't mean we're condoning the sin.
No.
And I think that's where churches kind of feel like, well, if we accept it, then we're condoning it. Well, there is not a single sinless person in the church.
Right.
It's just this one is outwardly seen as her belly grows.
Right.
It's outwardly seen. So, and we have to be careful with that. We have to be careful that we don't get holier than thou and think that we don't sin, because we do.
Well, to add a little levity to this, do you know the difference between a sin and a grievous sin?
Share with me.
Okay, a sin is something I do. A grievous sin is something you do. And that's where a lot of people are coming from. As long as you sin like me, you're okay. But you sin like that I didn't do, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And that should not ever be in church. But I will defend the church in that there are no perfect churches because they're full of
That's
us
right.
imperfect people.
Yeah.
So,
And that's why I say I don't think they're trying to be bad or anything or not loving. They, they just don't know what to do with different
right,
sins. They put them on levels.
right,
And really, it's all level at the cross.
right,
And Jesus didn't go to the cross and say, I'm going for all the sins of the world except this one or except that one.
right.
He doesn't do that.
Exactly.
It's covered. And when you ostracize someone or you push them away, you are saying that Christ's blood is not sufficient for that person.
That's right.
And that is a dangerous place to be
Absolutely.
for anybody, whether you're in church, out of church, or somewhere in between. If you are saying,
Well, that's heretical, honestly.
yes,
And to be clear with everyone, we're as Deborah said, we're not condoning anything.
right,
God is all loving, but He's also all just, and so every sin that any of us commit is going to be paid for. Now we have a choice of whether we pay for it ourselves, or we accept the payment that Jesus has already made. So sin is sin, and sin is wrong, and nobody is condoning anything.
right.
But we are also saying that we need to be there with the love of Christ,
Yes.
as Christ loved us, and have that grace for them and help them in their time of need.
Yeah, and we want to be the hands and feet of Jesus. Whether they accept us or not, or accept Jesus or not, we still want to be there for them. We have parenting classes. We have over 200 parenting classes in English and in Spanish that they can take and earn points to shop in our We store. So they can get all of their baby items for free. They can come in and get pregnancy tests and limited ultrasounds with the discretion of the nurse. So they can see their baby. They can see that heartbeat. They can, and we want to serve them. We just want to serve them and help them come through this hole. And whether they accept us or not, that's not for us to judge.
Right.
That's not for us to, calculate. It's just we're here to help you. Period.
And so to kind of explain that just a little bit, y'all want to help. And as far as the Christian part of that helping and that showing love is you planting a seed. And whether that seed grows or not, and whether it grows today or not, is not up to you,
Right.
and does not determine the level of help or the level of love or the level of anything else that any young lady gets. It's you're not making as a condition. There are no conditions,
Right.
basically, for your love and your help.
That is correct.
So tell us a little bit. You kind of mentioned there the Restore and the programs that you have. So what happens when a young lady comes in and says, I'm pregnant and I need some help, or I'm thinking about an abortion? What happens?
Sure. When they come in, they'll call us and they'll let us know, and we'll make an appointment for them, because you do have to have an appointment. We try to keep everything very confidential because it is a sensitive situation.
Sure.
So we only schedule appointments for the hour. It's not like a regular doctor's office where you have 4 or 5 people waiting in the waiting room. You're going to be the only one. For privacy and just for sensitivity. So you'll get scheduled, and you will first see the nurse. Well, they do a pregnancy test, and if she seems that it's needed, she will do an ultrasound at your consent. And it is a limited ultrasound. We're not doing genders or looking for anything. We're looking to see if it's a viable pregnancy, making sure that it's not ectopic or anything like that, and to confirm how far along you are, because a lot of times women need to know how far along they are. And then we encourage them with we have these little mama bags that we give them. It's like a little starter kit. It's got little vitamins in it, because sometimes, especially with Medicaid, and so it takes a while to get into the doctors. So we want to be there for you. We want to get you started, with your prenatal vitamins, and know what to expect, know how to eat properly, know what to do at this stage, like if you're 6 weeks or 8 weeks or, whatever. We want you to be able to know how to take care of yourself.
So you would actually be able and willing to help a mother in need, even if they were not considering abortion.
Absolutely. Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. We see, yes, yes. We see anybody who thinks that they might be pregnant, because a lot of times they'll call and say, "I just need confirmation of pregnancy. Can you help?" And I say, "Absolutely," because we want to be able to share with them too, love, and you don't know what their circumstances is. You know, they might be a single mom or mom that doesn't have a whole lot or a lot of support. She's still choosing life, but she doesn't have a lot of support. And
Right.
that's when we can say, well, look, we have these parenting classes that you can take and you can learn all of these things. And while you're doing that, you're earning points to where you can go shop in the Wii store. You can get a car seat, you can get a crib, you can get diapers, formula. Last year alone, we gave out over 12,000 diapers
Hmm.
in just 1 year because women need that. And
Yes.
what I see a lot is WIC doesn't carry them all the way through. They get WIC, but it's not enough, especially as the baby gets older. And they're like in the 7, 8 month old range, and they run out of their formula. So we're able to let them come in, get formula, things like that, to get them through until their next. And some women come in, they want to choose life, but they don't know where to start. They don't know how to get Medicaid. They don't know how to get WIC. They don't know how to get a doctor's appointment. So we help them with that as well.
Awesome. There's a lot of people out there telling them how to get an abortion. There's not so many telling them the other way.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's a very good statement. It's so easy to get the pill. Like, you know, when I go about and speak, a lot of people ask me, like, why does this matter? We're a pro-life state. We don't have abortion clinics here.
Do it by the mail now.
Yes, it's the abortion pill is flooding our mailboxes. And I know we have legislators trying to help with that, but it is so easy. Our office actually went online to see how easy it was. It was so easy, and it's not even expensive to get this abortion pill mailed to you. And then they're doing this with no doctor supervision. They have no idea how far along they are. They do not know what to do once the baby comes out or if they start hemorrhaging or anything like that. They don't know what to do. So they're doing this unsupervised medically, putting themselves at risk. So that's the other thing that we want to make sure they know what they're getting into. But the abortion pill has done nothing but make every bathroom across America a potential abortion clinic.
Right.
And so that's what we're combating against. And then you think about those women after the fact. And then they're like, what do I do now? So we need to make sure that they know. We have to educate them. It's not just take a couple pills and you're done.
You know, in a former life, I was a paramedic, and the calls that I remember, the vividly may not be the right word, was when you would go to a house and a lady had a miscarriage for whatever reason, and you know they were shocked, and you know it was a very traumatic
It is very
experience for them. Not I even remember one lady didn't even know she was pregnant, or said she didn't. You know, but now she's presented with the evidence of it, and that's a. I'm gonna sit here and cry in a minute. I think. I actually know someone that lost some premature twins recently, and I went to the funeral home for that, and I mean, I couldn't stand there. You know,
It's hard.
I mean, it is hard, and I can't, you know, I'm nobody, I was was not my child, you know, and
But you still felt that.
absolutely, I had to just turn and walk away, and,
As
you
a
know,
nation, we
come
should
back,
feel that.
and I can't even imagine the pain and the anguish that, and I saw it in them, but I still couldn't, you know, it just overcame me to the point that it just made it hard for me to imagine anyone doing anything else, and wanting to part with a child like that, and I can't help but think in a lot of cases, ladies that do wind up feeling that same remorse.
They do. They do.
And it's very difficult.
A lot of the information is about how to get it, but there's no information of what you do afterwards.
Yeah.
They just kind of drop them, and that's where we want to help pick them back up and say, you're not alone. God still loves you.
And again, you've already stated that y'all will help ladies that
Mhm.
are
Yeah.
post.
Mhm.
And I would assume that there's no cost to this.
There's no
the
cost to
patient.
anything we do. We are completely donor funded, and we get a couple grants, but we're very careful with our grants because we don't want any entity to say we can't share the gospel. So that is limited, but most of our funding the majority is through donor funded. We have donors that give monthly $5 to $2,000. We have companies that donate every month from their businesses. We do fundraisers throughout the year, so we do not charge anything for our clients. They never see a bill. We make sure everything is taken care of through our partners and who comes and walks alongside of us.
This is kind of an odd thought I just had. How anonymous is this, or can this be? I know you said that they're be very private, but do they even have to give names? Or
They do need to give names and show their driver's license, just because we are giving them medical care, and we are a medical clinic under medical directors.
Okay.
So because of that, they do have to give their names and show their driver's license.
Or some form of, I'm sure
Yes,
that
of ID.
if someone doesn't, I have a daughter-in-law that doesn't drive.
Yes, some
and
form of ID.
You'll work with them some way to be able to make that happen.
Yes, because we have to be able to submit medical records to our medical directors, but we do follow HIPAA guidelines, but we just want it to be private for them, and they don't feel
Absolutely.
like they're going to walk into a waiting room that they might see someone they know,
Right.
and this isn't public knowledge yet. Teenagers that haven't even told their parents, they don't want to walk into a waiting room with a bunch of people. They need this to be private and sensitive. So it's that kind of private and sensitive versus we're trying to hide your identity.
Right,
It's not
right.
that. Yeah.
Okay, and the one in where are your locations at?
We are located in Paragould at 1001 Linwood Drive. We're right close to the Avanzari's.
Avanzari's restaurant?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Everybody knows that Italian restaurant, and so I always tell them we're right next to that. You'll see our sign right there on the road. And then Jonesboro, we just moved into a new location at 527 West Washington. We're just down in the downtown area, just past the old police station. And then in West Memphis, we're about a mile from the high school on Road Street in West Memphis. So
Now, the one in Paragould is actually a house.
yes, it does look like a house. We bought it as a house, and then we converted it into a center.
Right.
Actually, the one in Jonesboro is too.
Okay.
It was a house, and we converted it because we don't want you to feel like
Sure.
you're walking into a cold medical
Clinical.
office.
Yeah.
We want it to feel like home. We want you to feel like you're coming home and you're safe and you can get comfortable and you can sort life out.
So you touched on a little bit of this. How can we help? I mean, how can individuals, businesses, churches, or other organizations help Options, or maybe even through other venues?
Yes. First of all, prayer.
Okay.
We covet the prayers of everyone. But financially, you can give as an individual, you can give as a group. You can, we have it where it comes right out of your bank account every month, or you can send in a check every month, or you can give quarterly or annually. You just, whatever the Lord puts on your heart and whatever you are compelled to give. Our budget is quite large to cover all three centers, and we're looking at raising close to $40,000 a month. So it's a lot, and we need a lot of supporters financially. Churches do it through Change for Life. They do it through putting us on a line item in their church budget. That's always very beneficial because we need that consistency so
Right.
we know. But we've just finished up one of our Change for Life campaigns where we put out baby bottles throughout all the churches and businesses. This past Mother's Day, we put out 1,200 baby bottles, and people just fill them with change, checks, dollar bills, and that's one of our biggest fundraisers. We have our gala in October, and that's where you can come, have an amazing meal, hear testimony, things like that about our ministry, and then we have an appeal at the end of the night. And then this year, we're actually doing something new this year, and we're doing our first softball tournament. So that's going to be fun. We're looking forward to that. But we're trying to get out there and be part of our community as we raise money. We want to be able to partner. It's not just gimme, but we want to partner. We want to say, how can we help you? How can we serve you? And then, they support us financially. Also with donations, material donations. Paragold, the Paragold office next month, actually in just a couple days, July, is our 1-year anniversary. So we are going to be throwing like a birthday party. And we're going to invite everybody to come out for some refreshments. Bring a gift, bring a baby gift, just like if it was a baby shower. Bring some diapers, bring some wipes, bring some clothes. A lot of moms that their babies grow out because, infant clothes aren't used very much because they grow so fast. You can bring your gently used items to the center, and we wash them and press them and get them like new again. And so we take, gently used items, brand new items, monetary donations, any kinds of ways.
So y'all have at least 2 Facebook pages.
Yes.
Tell us about those.
Yes, we have the private page, which is for our partners.
Okay.
That is, it's called Friends of Options. If you look us up on Facebook, go to Friends of Options. And that's where we put out what's going on with Options, the events. If we are running low on diapers, we might put out there saying, hey, we need diapers, and people start dropping them off, things like that. We don't want our clients necessarily to see that because we want them to know confidently we've got you. Okay.
Right.
So if you're a young lady that would be more on the client side, it's Options on Main. Just go to Facebook on Options on Main. And that will tell you all of our resources. That will give you the place where you can set up an appointment to be seen. Our partners can also go there to, that's where you can link to our website where you can donate. Monetarily, things like that. But that's more for seeing what we offer because that's what the clients need to see.
Are there testimonials or anything like that on case studies or whatever?
Yep.
So, young ladies, if you're kind of wondering how does this work and that'd be a good resource to be able to get familiar and comfortable.
A lot of education on that webpage, on that Facebook page. Yeah, and that's Options on Main. And then the other ones is Friends of Options.
You mentioned a couple of times classes that they can go to and obviously learn, and then they gain points that they can, kind of what are the classes about? What range of
That's a great question,
subjects?
Bob. Like I said, there's over 200, and we try to cover anything that she could need help on, that she could glean from. So we have parenting classes for what to expect while you're pregnant, through each stage of pregnancy, labor and delivery, breastfeeding, changing diapers, safe sleep, how you lay your baby down so they don't suffocate, those kind of things. But then we also have classes where nutritional classes, how to feed your baby more than just chicken nuggets, how to cook for them, how to sew, how to, because a lot of them, they may not have the support that we used to have home ec class, to where we learned all that stuff. Or, back in the day, you might have had a grandma that would have crocheted you a blanket or something, but they can take classes like that. They can, balancing a checkbook, money management, how to know if you're in a toxic relationship. So it's how to get past some of the past traumas. It's everything. I mean, we try to keep everything. We even have fathers specifically for classes specifically for fathers. Yes. So, and those are great. Like it singles them out. Like, because he's like, how do I help? I'm not delivering the baby.
Right.
And we can help him know how to help her, how to support her through delivery, how to support her through those first few weeks when she's trying to, manage a new baby.
How to be able to improve the relationship
Exactly.
instead of
Yes.
stress it.
Yes. So I want to make sure that's clear too, is that fathers are welcome. You know, if we ask a mom if the fathers are involved and they're in the picture, we want them to come and to the ultrasound. We want them to
Sure.
come to the classes. We want them to be just as involved as she is, because this is a
Two to
partner
tango.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
So where are the classes at? Are
We
they-
have some in person, and we also have them online. So and when I say online, let me correct that. It's actually a video series that we send directly to your phone.
Okay.
So because at the end of that video, it'll be like, 20-minute video that you watch on your phone. And then there's a test at the end, because,
Okay.
we want to make sure you're paying attention.
Right.
We're not like the diaper distribution center, free, just giving things out. We want to make sure that you're gleaning from these classes.
Learning and improving
Yes.
yourself from this.
So there are questions at the end, and then that gets sent back to our system, showing us that you completed the video, completed the questions, and then that's when your points get added up under your account.
Okay.
That's the 200. We've got over 200 of those that can go directly to the phones. So say originally what you would do when you want to take the classes, you would come in, and there's an appointment that you would sit with one of our client services, and they would set out a plan for you, and then they would send you so many videos a week, and you can spend so many points a week to get the things that you need. And then after that initial appointment, you can just call us and say, hey, I need a few more videos. I need diapers this week. Hey, I need a few more videos. I'm running low on formula. So they're still working for their things, and we're still keeping connection with them, and we follow them all the way up to 2 years old. So, and we also see them, like, we help them if they need their GED, if they interview classes. We
Oh,
help,
wow.
yes,
Yeah.
like if they're trying to get a job and they don't quite know how to do. I have seen my staff like have a lady that is getting ready for an interview, but she doesn't have the proper clothing. So we all gather like, hey, I have a lady this size, shoe this size, blouse this size, and next thing you know, there's a pile of clothes in the conference room from our staff closets.
Right.
Because they care that much that they would give their own clothes to make sure that this young lady is successful. So it's just about anything.
And ultimately, what y'all are trying to help is the ladies be successful in life.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's really the ultimate thing. And you mentioned there, and I wanted to clarify or just have people think about this. They're having to work, I think was your word, in order to get these free things.
Yes.
And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that is what we were put here to do. And I always like to point this out, and it's applicable here. God created work and tasked man with work before sin ever entered the picture.
That's right.
So to everyone out there, don't look at work as punishment.
That's right.
Don't look at work as a punishment for sin. Look at it honestly like something God made for us and made us for. And the point I try to make to people is God created us to work, and we gain from that. We don't just gain $10 or $100 or whatever to go do whatever with. We gain self-worth, and we
Purpose.
gain purpose, exactly.
Yeah.
Fulfillment.
I mean, I'm so proud of the ladies and the fathers that come in and they're shopping for their babies. Like, we want them to shop with dignity and grace.
Absolutely.
That's why it's so important that we have a nice store, and that we put a lot of energy into our centers. If you haven't been by our centers, anybody out there, call us, set up a time for a tour. We do ask that you call and make an appointment so you don't just walk in on a client, and that we would be able to give you a full tour. But come and see our store. Like, we made it like a baby boutique. It's beautiful because we want them to shop with dignity and grace. They've worked hard with these classes, and we want them to feel that accomplishment, and they do. Like, you should see their faces beaming when they can just come in and get what they need for their babies, because they know they earned it and they did that for them.
That is absolutely awesome. That's something I think a lot of people in welfare state that we have become and created, they actually miss out on so much. And I'm thrilled that y'all are not allowing that to happen
Right.
in this case and giving them that.
What does it say? Give a man a fish he eats for a day.
Right.
Teach him how to fish, he'll eat for a lifetime.
And we've done the opposite of that in our governmental, and it's to everyone's detriment that we have.
I really love it when women come in and they go through our program, and then as they finish up and they get stronger and stronger, and they are feeling their purpose, and they come back and help us. They come back and say, how can I volunteer? Or they'll come back and say, okay, my baby's grown out of these clothes. I'm bringing them back to you. You know, they understand, and it's
Right.
like, man, that is beautiful.
And that understanding doesn't happen from a handout, a literal handout.
Right.
Y'all are giving a hand up,
It's beautiful.
and that is awesome. So
I love it when they come back to us.
You mentioned them coming back and volunteering. How do you gain volunteers? What if somebody out there is thinking about, gee, I would like to help with this from a volunteer standpoint?
Yeah, just give us a call, and I usually meet with them first, and we just kind of go over like our mission, our standards, that type of thing, because we want to make sure everybody is believing in the same thing, and you have to be 100% pro-life. You know what I mean? So we want to make sure that is there, and then we do have a training program for our volunteers, so. They know what they're getting, because sometimes we have some really hard days.
I'm sure.
You have to deal with some really hard situations sometimes, so we don't just want to throw you out there to the wolves. We want to make sure that you're prepared for what you may see, because that, again, is going to help you be successful on our team. So we want to make sure that is in place. So we go through some training, some shadowing, and then now we have some volunteers like, I don't think I could meet with like a client to sit with them and talk to them, but hey, I'll help in the we store. Let me sort out the clothes. Let me do this, or let me help you with an event. We need volunteers for our events. We need volunteers for our gala, and things like that. So like we have Valto, which is a company. It used to be Crane Composites in Jonesboro. Yep. They come the last couple of years and help us set up for our gala. They have volunteer hours, and that may be something FAPCO could do. They have like 4 hours on a certain Thursday of the month that you can sign up and go volunteer in the community. And I've seen them go to different places, but they always come to our gala. They help us set up the tables and the chairs and stuff like that. So I mean, maybe you don't have a lot of time, but you can help a few times a year. Right. Maybe you have time to come every week, once a week or something, to help sort out clothes, to clean the offices. Maybe you like cleaning. I don't know. Maybe somebody's out there that likes cleaning.
So during that, you mentioned that they would have to be a volunteer, they would have to be 100% pro-life.
Yes.
When we talked before, you had a term that you called, and I have adopted that term, by the way, a culture of life.
Yes.
And that is I don't know if far is the right word or not, but that is a far broader term than just pro-life.
Yes.
So kind of share with us your definition of culture of life.
The culture of life, because we want to create this culture of life where abortion is not thinkable. Like when you value life.
Why would you do that in the scheme of things?
Yeah, because I really believe that abortion is not a political thing. It's not anything outside of, but it's a heart issue.
Absolutely.
So if we can help the heart issue, if we could change the heart of the people to understand that life is valued, that life is a gift, that changes the culture, because that's going to change the culture of the older woman helping the younger. It's going to change the father's opinion towards the child. It's going to change every aspect of things when you talk about the culture of life, that everyone is supporting life. And then when a young lady finds herself in an unplanned pregnancy, she's not even thinking abortion is an option. She's looking at who's going to help, who's going to be there for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, with the understanding someone will.
Yes.
I have people in my life
Yes.
that will.
Yes.
And I like to call churches out a lot because, again, churches are full of broken people and we fail a lot. Our churches have failed in being as supportive as we need to be in the community in issues like this, in a lot of things. And I just say that to encourage churches out there or people that go to church to think about things that you can do, especially with Options is obviously a Christian-based organization that maybe in its own way, and I might argue in the best way, sharing the gospel, that our churches need to be looking for ways that they can do the things and the type of things that you're doing and support people like you that are doing those.
Absolutely. And I think in their defense, I think a lot of churches think that abortion is a political thing when really
Yes.
it isn't. It isn't at all. It's a heart issue.
Absolutely.
And if they can embrace that and understand what the Word of God says about it, I think they would be on board 100%. And I think they're trying. But again, too, it's that outwardly sin. You see it on you, when they think sexual sin is like the biggest sin. But sin is sin. We've talked about that already.
Right.
And we need to maybe stop, putting those different sins at different levels, and embrace what God says. Embrace that His Word says about life. And if you're a church teaching the Bible, then you can't ignore this. You just can't.
I've always been rather outspoken. I'm not really an outgoing person, but I'll speak my mind. And I went to a church a few years ago, and people would kind of encourage or unencourage, I don't know the right term, and they would say things like, "You're too political." Well, abortion and some other topics, they're hard issues, they're moral issues, they are theological issues. They are first and foremost those things, and then after that they are political issues. And honestly, I've had the saying for a long time that you cannot separate your theology from your politics. If you are politically liberal, then your theology is ultimately going to be liberal. And I don't know why churches are so afraid of taking stances on anything that is active in the political arena. They'll preach against and I'm not going to paint with too wide a brush, because each person, each pastor, each preacher, each church is their own individual entity. But just because something is being debated in the public square politically, in no way means that's what it is. It's a public issue and a political issue. First and foremost, abortion and other things like that are theological, they are biblical, and we need to be speaking to those.
Yeah.
And like I began this with, we don't just need to be saying these things are wrong. We need to be, like you are being, we need to try to be part of the solution.
Absolutely. And I will say this to the churches. We have some great churches in Northeast Arkansas, some amazing. And one of the things I love about being with Options is I get to go and visit all these churches, and I get to know all these pastors and all these congregations, and I have met some beautiful people. And I understand that sometimes it can be scary to touch the hard topics because you don't want to offend your congregation, because a lot of times we don't have that culture of life yet where it's easy to talk about things like that. And I love to come and speak and share biblically. I'm not going to get political with you. I'm going to speak the Word of God. And that's what I love to do. So maybe it's something you do want to address in your church, but you don't know how, or you're not comfortable with it. Maybe coming from yourself as the pastor, invite me. Invite me to come to one of your services, and I will be happy to not get political, but to share the Word of God, to shine the light into that dark topic that you may not feel comfortable. Because this is what I do every day. Maybe it's not what you do every day. Maybe it is uncomfortable, and that's okay. You know, we all have our gifts. But I know the gift that the Lord has given me, and that is He has shown me in His Word. And His Word is not political. His Word is truth, and it cuts through, and it will shine the light into the dark. And if I can just show the people of Northeast Arkansas what the Word of God says, then you have no choice to say whether you believe in His Word or not, and then to stand for life. There's no other option.
You're right. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
We've had some really good conversation here
I have
today,
really
Bob.
enjoyed this.
Yeah. I can't think of anything that we've really left out. I would just say thank you for inviting me, and I hope that our community can really grab a hold of how much Options loves their communities that they're in. We want to be a part. We want that culture of life to take root, and we want to be able to help. We understand that life can get tough, and we just want to welcome you to Options.
I really appreciate you coming, and I'll share this with you. You know, I had said that I did a little research and ran across actually the pastor at Nettleton was, I think, the first one that told me about you. And then a little bit later, one of the gentlemen at work, his mother passed away, and he asked, you know, instead of flowers or anything like that, I would like donations made to the Options organization. I'm like, you know, there we go. And so
We get that often.
I really appreciate it. If there's anything else that we can do, or you'd like to come back and share about an event or something that's coming up, we're always going to be here.
That would
God
be great.
willing.
That would be great. Thank you,
Thank
Bob.
you, and thank you all for listening or viewing. So, Deborah, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in Options, and what you do.
Okay. I am the executive director for all of our centers, Jonesboro, Paragould, West Memphis, and our mobile ministry. And I actually came through Options through a post-abortive program. And I went through the program, and then I started facilitating that class. And I did that for a little over 2 years. And then I got to know the ladies, and they needed a marketer, just a part-time marketer. I was actually a loan officer at the time, working with mortgages. And I said, I can do that on the side. Let me start doing that. And I helped with their advertising. And then just a few months later, our director left. And I felt the Lord put in my heart to apply, and I applied. And I have now been the executive director for the last 4 years. And I know the Lord has called me because it's where He's healed me.
That is awesome. You mentioned in there something, you mentioned this earlier, the mobile facility. Tell us a little bit about that.
That is a big RV, and it was here in Paragould for almost 2 years while we were in between getting this center here. We also had a Wii store at one of the churches on Reynolds Road. And but the mobile unit, it's a big RV, and it's a full-size clinic. It has the ultrasound, the pregnancy test, all of that on it. We just can't carry like the resources. We can't have we store on it. And what the purpose of that is to go where there may not be a center. And right now we are evaluating where to take it next, or if we need to change the way we mobilize, because we want to make sure we're reaching her wherever she is in Northeast Arkansas. But now that we have a center in West Memphis, Jonesboro, Paragould, You know, we've got this good triangle. And then there's also a center, it's not ours, but a center in Blytheville and Newport. But they're not medical, so they only have resources. They don't have an ultrasound machine.
Okay.
So we're looking at like how can maybe we can expand to help them personally, bring the medical aspect to them. Because if we could get a medical aspect to those two, then we really do encompass even South Missouri, West Tennessee, all the way through. So we're looking now where to take her next. And we show up on events with our mobile, but she's a full-size clinic
That's pretty awesome.
on wheels. So if you see us rolling around, honk your horn.
What color is it?
She's white with the big words options on it with some ladies on there, pictures of some ladies on
Okay.
there.
We'll keep our eyes open.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, thank you for coming. Thank
Thank
y'all
you.
for watching.